Yo, hello everyone. My name is Meat Monk, and this is my Midnight Season 1 Mistweaver and Fistweaver guide. So, just a basic overview of what we're going to cover in this video today. We're going to start out by covering a Mistweaver talents, and we're going to cover the best races, the best stats, and the best talents for both Mistweaver and Fistweaver. So Fistweaver is going to be the later half of the video. This video is going to be segmented into chapters, so you can just skip through if you want to see the Fistweaver guide, or just watch right now if you want to see the caster one. So getting into it, the best races that you're going to want to play for Mistweaver in general, but specifically caster Mistweaver, and these two races are going to be Orc and High Mountain Tauren. So what Orc is going to do for you, it's one of the best races because it makes you sit stuns a lot less longer. You have like a Relentless, then you also have like some Blood Fury thing, which increases your intellect, but the most important part about playing Orc is that you sit stuns less. So if you queue into a sub-rogue, you're going to be in CC for a smaller amount of time than if you were another race. And now the second race that's going to be good is High Mountain Tauren. Now High Mountain Tauren has a default racial, which gives you an additional 1% versatility, if you don't know what 1% versatility does for you, it will make you take 0.5% less damage, and it will also increase your damage and healing by 1%. So you can see right here, I have 14% verse, so I would get 14.37% increased healing and damage, but with High Mountain, that would go to 15. Now, I'm playing Pandaren because I'm like a bit of a troll, but what you're going to want to play, if you play like strictly like solo shuffle, like battleground blitz, and like twos, you're going to want High Mountain or Orc. Those are going to be your go-to races. Now, you don't have to just play Horde. There are some pretty good alliance races, and I would say that Gnome is probably going to be your best bet as an alliance race. It gives you 5% additional mana and an ability called Escape Artist, which is a 1 minute, basically snare remover. It gets rid of all snares and roots on you, which can be very helpful if you're like queuing into a Boomkin and he like root beams you. Your racial will perfectly align with his root beam every minute, and you'll be able to just run out for free. So those are some benefits of Gnome. And then one race that I think is really overrated is actually Night Elf. And what Night Elf does for you is you have an ability called Shadow Meld. And Shadow Meld, you press it, and everybody thinks it's like really cool because you can immune CC with it. But the problem with Shadow Meld is that you can't guaranteed get value out of it every time. Like, you can't meld every stun or everything that you want to like immune like perfectly. So in brackets like solo shuffle and like twos, it's not that great. But the reason why Night Elf is still a good race is if you play like threes or something, Night Elf drops your combat because it shadow melds you, you're stealthed, you're out of combat. So if you're playing like high threes and you're trying to push higher rating in threes and you notice you're going a lot, you're going to want to pick up Night Elf just so you can drop combat and avoid the 6-second timer that it would normally take for you to drop combat, and drop combat immediately and start drinking. And there's some nice things that you can do with Night Elf on Mistweaver, like you can have your port on the pillar, and then you can port to the pillar, you can shadow meld, and then you can start drinking. So, that's Night Elf. And then, honorable mention goes to Undead. Undead gives you a basically a second trinket for fears. So you can use it to get out of a fear, and it'll put your trinket on cooldown for 30 seconds instead of the original 1 minute and 30 seconds. So that's races. My opinion, the top two you should play Orc or High Mountain. If you really want to play Alliance, go Gnome. And then if you really want to play Alliance but you don't want to play Gnome, play a Night Elf. So now that we've got races out of the way, we're going to go into stats. So as a caster Mistweaver, the stats that you're going to want, it's actually very simple and very nice this season. You're going to want full versatility and full haste. You don't want a single bit of mastery. I have a little bit of mastery because you have to have some right now with like just having honor gear out. But when the season starts, I'm going to craft my rings. And I'm gonna make sure that they're crafted with a haste versatility missive. So I'm gonna be going full haste versatility. And the reason for this is Gust of Mist Mastery was nerfed super heavily last expansion, and it's just simply not worth building mastery anymore. And instead, haste will actually give you more healing because it will cause your enveloping mist to tick more often. So you're gonna get more healing by playing haste on Mistweaver than you will with mastery. You also have faster globals, which just feels nicer in general. So the stats that you're going to go is full haste. Now, in the description of this video, I'm going to have my armory linked so you can copy my gear. And now don't worry, my gear will stay the same for Fistweaver and Mistweaver because they both build full haste versatility. So you'll be able to copy my updated armory, whether you're watching this like 2 months into the expansion. My armory will be accurate and will have the best gear for whichever specialization of Mistweaver you're looking to spec into. So anyways, look in the description for my armory for updated gear, but for right now, we've just got full honor. I'm buying all the haste pieces that I can, and right here, we can look at the best enchants. Now I have the best in slot enchants on all of my pieces of gear, and what this is going to look like, we have Silver Moon's Alacrity, and this is a haste enchant. We're getting more haste, and right here we have a haste and versatility gem that's called Flawless Versatile Peridot. This is going to be your go-to gem. You're going to stack as many of these as you can into your sockets. And then for your boots, you're going to have Far Strider's Hunt. And then for your leg enchant, it's going to be the 4% mana enchant, which we can find easily right here. And I'll give you guys the name. It's going to be called Arcano Weave Spell Thread. This gives you 4% mana. This is very important. Increases your mana. And then the weapon enchant, we're doing Acuity of the Rendore. This is going to give you an intellect proc, about like 69, I think, if I remember right, 63, 69, something like that. Then we have a chest enchant, Mark of the Magister. This gives you 5% more mana, so you're going to be sure to pick this up. This is very important. Then shoulder enchant, Echoes on Swiftness, just giving you speed so you move faster. And then with the helmet, Empowered Blessing of Speed. Okay, there we go. We covered all the enchants. Now, as your main gem, your Thalassian Diamond, what you're going to want that to be is a Cognitive Heliotrope. And this is just precog. We should know what precog is. Basically, if you fake a kick, you'll just get immune for 4 seconds, and you'll be able to cast. You won't be able to get stunned or interrupted. And now, something that shouldn't be in the game right now, but is you can actually equip last season's Bloodstones, and they actually do not stack. So right here, I have precog, and then I also have 5% damage reduction when affected by crowd control. So not only am I able to abuse this by getting 12 more primary stat, I'm also like able to take 5% less damage in CC, which is actually it's pretty good. So if you're watching this like 2 months from now and it doesn't work, oh well. But just look at my armory. If I'm still playing this, definitely play this because it's good. And how you're going to want to abuse this perfectly is you're going to want to get a precog gem from this season, and then you're going to get the damage reduction one from last season. Now that's most likely going to be patched if you're watching this a couple months into the season, but if it's not, this is something cool that you can use to get a little bit of an edge over people. So now we've reviewed all the gear, all the stats, we're going to get into the meat of it, and that's the talents. So we open up our talent tree, and right off the bat, we have a new addition to our talents from last expansion, and that's Spirit Font. So this is basically just 4 points. You can either spend this in your right tree like this, or you can spec into this. Now, the Mistweaver one is really good. You're going to want to pick 3 or 4, and I'll explain that later. But moving on, we're just going to go left to right tree. I was just covering the new thing. So yeah, obviously we've got Soothing Mist, we've got Incap. Incap's one of your CCs, and we've got Rising Sun Kick. We've got Transcendence. This is basically a port that you can use. So right there. I set it down with my Transcendence, and then I use Transfer, and you can go to it. And it's really cool, and you spec into another talent down here to make sure that you can use it twice. It makes monks very slippery. Now, another thing that's important about this build is Song of Chi-Ji. Song of Chi-Ji is like a 6-second in PvP. Obviously, this says 20 seconds, but that would be ridiculous. It's 6 seconds in PvP, and it's on a Fear DR. So something that you want to do on Mistweavers is you want to go in-cap into Song of Chi-Ji as one of your CC combos. So that's like basic combo right there. And then, well, one more notable thing, or a couple more of the notable things actually, is Celestial Determination. Basically, when you use your Yulon, you can only be snared up to 10%, so it'll make you move a little bit faster than usual. And then another one is Lighter Than Air. So after you use your roll or your Chi Torpedo, we're spec'd into Chi Torpedo because it's better, so you will get a buff called Lighter Than Air. So Lighter Than Air will allow you to jump twice to dash forward a short distance, as so, and that's something important to know that you have. Basically, it can help like close gaps between people, and just give you a little bit more distance from people. Otherwise, a lot of these talents really aren't too relevant. You can review them if you want, but most of them are just modifiers and like necessary things that you have to go through and pick. So, onto the right tree. Of course, we have Enveloping Mist, Thunder Focus Tea, Life Cocoon. We got the big stuff. Life Cocoon is really going to be your strongest cooldown. It's a really strong single target cooldown, massive shield that goes on one target, and this is basically a saver. So, normally you want to pair your Trinket with Cocoon, and you want to use your Restoral while you're in stuns. That's generally how these big cooldowns are traded. Your big cooldowns are Restoral, Life Cocoon, and Celestial Conduit. We'll get into Celestial Conduit in a bit. Now, we are going to look into stuff that changes. So, right down here, we have Shaylun's Gift. This one is pretty big. Shaylun's Gift now replaces Vivify. So basically, Vivify is Shaylun's Gift now, and it can stack, which is really strange. But I would just think of this as just your Vivify. If you've played Mistweaver before, and you can get like bonus healing if it stacks up. So that's an important change. Now it's Enveloping Mist and Shaylun's Gift. For some reason, it's an interesting change, but it is what it is. So we've got Restoral, and then now they give us these two options between Wave the Crane and Wave the Serpent. Now, Wave the Crane is supposed to be like the caster option, and Wave the Serpent is the caster option, and Wave the Crane is the Fistweaver option. So the Fistweaver option is pretty shit, so what we're going to do is we're going to spec into Wave the Serpent, and this allows you to cast your Soothing Mist while moving, like so. So you see I'm moving, and I'm casting my Soothing Mist. And now, notably, it also increases your Shaylun's Gift healing by 15%, and your Renewing Mist healing increased by 30%. So if you want to play Caster Mistweaver, Wave of the Crane really doesn't make any sense at all over these buffs that you get from Wave the Serpent, and being able to move while you're casting Soothing Mist. And now, you might be asking, well, it might actually be quite annoying, because how am I supposed to cancel my cast? Normally, I cancel my cast by moving, and that's what I've done until now. So, a way to solve this and not have to like hit escape to stop casting is to get a stop casting macro. And what that'll do is, you see right here, I have Shift G, and it will stop my cast when I press it. So this is what you can use to fake cast now. Now, if you played Mistweaver in previous seasons, I suggest replacing your stop casting macro with Zen Spheres, as you would normally use like Crackling Jade Lightning to apply like Mystic Touch and like like Soothing Mist to like apply a friendly orb. So like the way I see it is I cast a Soothing Mist and I press my Zen Spheres macro, and then boom, a Zen Sphere is up. And then if I cast a Crackle and I hit my Zen Spheres macro, then an enemy orb is up. So that's what I would suggest for people who have already played Monk before and have played Zen Spheres before. If not, it will take a little bit of getting used to, but it's very simply just a macro, and you put this text in it /stop casting. You drag this onto your bars, and you can use this to fake kicks and cancel your cast as you're moving around. So you see, yep, cast, cancel, cast, cast, cancel, cast, like that. So, now we have something very nice, Uplifted Spirits. This is absolutely essential because it reduces the cooldown of Restoral by 30 seconds and increases your Restoral healing by 15%. This is just very nice. I'm very happy about this because previously, Restoral cooldown has been really long because Peaceweaver got nerfed from 50% all the way down to 16%. So now you get this additional cooldown reduction on top of it, and Restoral is a 2-minute cooldown instead of like a 2.3-minute cooldown or whatever it was. So this is very nice. Now you got to spec into Calming Coalescence. This just increases your life cocoon by 80%. Now, a lot of these talents that you're spec'd into is just going to be modifiers and stuff, so it's actually quite boring. You know, like we have Mist of Life. It applies Renewing Mist and Enveloping Mist to the target, so that's something nice to know. And then Chrysalis gives you a 45-second cooldown reduction on Life Cocoon, which is very, very huge. So now, Overflowing Mist, this is just a little passive. It makes your Enveloping Mists do a bit more, gives you a heal every time somebody takes damage with it. Now, Yulon, this is your big Celestial. This is going to be a 2-minute cooldown for you, and it will proc shields when combined with Celestial Harmony. It will apply Chi Cocoons, which gives it around a 72,000 shield. So it's a pretty hefty shield, you know. Like if you're looking to save somebody, you know, somebody's maybe 40%, definitely press your Celestial. It will give them a little bit of a shield, and something nice is that when this shield is broken, it will apply Enveloping Mist for 4 seconds. So let's say you apply the shield and it gets broken instantly, then you apply your Enveloping Mist, which increases your healing received by 20%. Okay, 20%. It was 40, but I don't know what the fuck's happening. I guess it's 20% now. But yeah, it will apply your Enveloping Mist modifier, and then you can use that to get a fat Shayloon's Gift and increase the healing on that. That's something very nice. And then something to keep in mind is that when you press your Yulon, you have 50% less mana on your Enveloping Mists. So that's going to be very helpful in the sense that that's what you can use to save mana. I'm actually going to change something here. I like to swap around these two talents for 3s and Shuffle. So if you're playing solo Shuffle, you're not going to want Energizing Brew, but if you're playing 3v3, you're going to want Energizing Brew. And this basically just gives you more mana. Now in solo Shuffle, you won't need this, but in 3s, this is a nice talent to have to get more mana. But otherwise, this is the only swap you're going to be making. If you're playing Shuffle, switch to this. If you're playing 3s, switch to this. Yeah, fantastic. Now, a little passive that you have Healing Elixirs. As Monk, whenever you drop below a certain health, they will heal you for 50% of your health. And you have 2 charges of this, and these can be, these proc while you're in a stun. I wouldn't really count on these as a big cooldown to save you, as Monks are quite squishy, and if you get locked in a stun, the Healing Elixirs very well might not be enough to save you. So now we have Rapid Diffusion. Basically, whenever you apply your Enveloping Mist, it'll apply Renewing Mist to a target, and that helps you. It helps pair with Lotus Infusion, as allies with Renewing Mist receive 6% more healing from you, and it will increase the duration to 8 seconds instead of 6. So this is very nice, as it allows you not to have to press Renewing Mist, which is something that really doesn't do a whole lot of healing, and you're going to press this a filler global when you have nothing to do and all your orbs are applied up. It's super low priority in the rotation, and being able to apply it by pressing Enveloping Mist, which is something super high value in the rotation, it's just going to help you out very nicely. So yeah, Lotus Infusion, now Focused Thunder, you just pick this up, and basically your Thunder Focus Tea will empower the next 2 spells. And what Thunder Focus Tea is, this is a very big ability. I've had some people in my chat saying they don't know what this ability is. So basically, it empowers your next 2 abilities. Now, it will empower Enveloping Mist, Renewing Mist, and Rising Sun Kick. Now, as caster, the only thing you care about from Thunder Focus Tea is the Enveloping Mist. cast, and basically it will heal for like a small amount, but the most important thing is that it will be instant cast. So instead of having to go Soothing Mist, Enveloping Mist, what you're able to do is without even casting, you're able to go Thunder Focus Tea and then Renewing Mist, and this doesn't cost a global because Thunder Focus Tea is off global. So you can use this to get a fast Enveloping Mist out, and what you can do is you can follow this instant cast Enveloping Mist by these instant cast Sheilun's Gifts, and these instant cast Sheilun's Gifts come from Emperor's Favor, which means cast time is reduced by 100%, but it only heals a single ally, and that is 100% worth a trade-off. Basically, just makes it just exactly like Vivify, which is what we're looking for. So, yeah. Basically, with Thunder Focus Tea, you don't even have to cast to heal somebody. You Thunder Focus Tea, Enveloping Mist, and then you can just spam as many Vivifies as you want, and it doesn't affect your Thunder Focus Tea because they removed it being affected by like Vivify or now Sheilun's Gift. So you can see I'm doing quite a bit of healing actually, and I'm not even casting any spells. So that's a very nice quality of life change for Mistweaver, is that you don't really have to cast too much when you have your Thunder Focus Tea. Okay, moving on. Thunder Focus Tea, very important. You're going to be pressing that pretty much on cooldown just to get those instant cast Enveloping Mists. Those are very nice. So now another thing, just another modifier that I haven't covered as I make my way down here. Mist Wrap, you just get an increase by 1 second, and you get like 10% more healing bonus. So it's just nice to have. Now we have Misty Peaks. Renewing Mists heal over time effect has an 8% chance to apply Enveloping Mist for 2 seconds. Now there's not really a good choice here between Secret Infusion and Misty Peaks, because Enveloping Mist only increases critical strike. It's kind of just pretty bad to spec into this, as critical strike doesn't do much for you except having the chance to duplicate your mana tea stacks. So we're going into Misty Peaks because this can give us a little bit of healing, but it also gets us to Mistline. And now Mistline is nerfed to 200% in PvP. So I gotta go hit a PvP dummy real quick. Oh, I don't have PvP dummies around, I guess. That's very strange. But this is not 500%. This is 200%. This got nerfed. And what you just need to know about Mistline, it's very nice. It gives you a lot of passive healing, which is very good. And oftentimes, Renewing Mist actually comes up as my top heal on my breakdown. So it's very nice, and you need to be spec'd into this. And these Renewing Mists, you don't even have to apply them like with effort. They'll just automatically apply with Rapid Diffusion, like I said earlier. You see right here, I have one that popped up for 6 seconds. So you don't have to worry exactly too much about applying these. So now we're getting to the end of the right tree. We're going to have Peaceful Mending, and basically this is allies targeted by your Soothing Mist receive 40% more healing from your Enveloping Mist and Renewing Mist effects. So this would seem only useful if you're casting, but actually what you can do is you can combine with the left tree Summon Jade Serpent statue, which you can use right here. You can put a statue down. This Soothing Mist from this statue will actually proc Peaceful Mending. So you want to make sure that your statue is like roughly in like the middle of the arena. That way it'll hit anybody who's like in your line of sight, and you will still get these bonuses even when you stop casting, because the statue is casting the Soothing Mist on you. So this is a nice talent to have, and it's also very important to understand that you need to have good statue placement when you enter the game. You need to put your statue down nice, and if you fuck it up, that's okay, because it's got like a 10-second cooldown. You can replace them very, very easily, and it's nice to have this to just give you that that Peaceful Mending modifier. Now we pick Veil of Pride just so that we can get to Emperor's Favor, but what this does is every 8 seconds while you're in combat, you will generate a stack of Sheilun's Gift, and what Sheilun's Gift will do is it will increase your healing the more stacks you have. Now, they're actually nerfing this it to, instead of 33% increased healing per stack, it's going to be 10% now. So these stacks are going to be a little bit less important, but just something to know is that the more stacks you have, a lot more healing you're going to be able to do. Like 10 stacks will top somebody from like around like 30 or 20%. It's a very massive heal. And you just want to keep in mind that you're generating these stacks and you can use them to get bigger heals. So now Emperor's Favor, this one's really simple. This just makes it so that you don't have a cast time on Sheilun's Gift, which is going to be something very important to spec into as caster, because otherwise it's gonna be really hard to get your heals off if you're gonna have to cast Sheilun's Gift every time. So this is like a very important talent that you absolutely cannot drop. And like for Fistweaver, you can pick this up by having stuff like this. And Serene Surge isn't really worth specking into to get these instant cast Sheilun's Gifts. You really just want them to always be instant cast instead of just after casting Enveloping Mist. And the 20% buff is super nice. This is a no-brainer. So now, Tear of Mourning. We're getting to the last talent in the right tree. And it will increase your Sheilun's Gift by another 20%, and your Enveloping Mists will also heal allies with your Renewing Mist for 8% of his healing. So that would mean like you get extra healing for 8% of your Renewing Mist healing, if that makes sense. This one's hard to this one's hard to say. You mostly just take it for the Sheilun's Gift healing is increased by 20%. This also will give you a small Renewing Mist modifier. And then just a little bonus, whenever you have your Yulon active, it's going to make your Enveloping Mists last a little longer, which is that's just a little bonus. So anyways, that's the right tree. A whole lot of modifiers. Just some things that you want to take away from this is that Life Cocoon and Restoral are your main cooldowns, and you need to use Thunder Focus Tea to avoid casting and use those instant cast Enveloping Mists that you can pair with your instant cast Sheilun's Gifts. Now, the last important thing is that casting Enveloping Mists will give you a 20% increased healing modifier. So it's very important. You always want to, before you start casting, you want to get an Enveloping Mist up before you press a Sheilun's Gift. Every single time, you're going to want to have your Enveloping Mist buff up. And you don't need to reapply this until it runs out or until it's about to run out, because it doesn't actually do any additional healing. It's just like a heal over time. So you just apply this when it runs out, and then this will allow you to get the healing modifier from Enveloping Mist, and then hence modify your Sheilun's Gift by like an extra 20% and make you do more healing. So now, getting into the hero tree. Now, as Caster Weaver, we're going to want to be playing Conduit of the Celestials. Now, a common misconception between Mistweaver players is they're like, oh, well, I'm going to play Master of Harmony because I get Endless Draught and I get one additional Thunder Focus T-Charge. Now, this is not the case. Having 2 Thunder Focus T-Charges is actually worse than having 1 Thunder Focus T-Charge with Conduit of the Celestials. And the reason for this is that having 2 Thunder Focus T-Charges, usually you blow them in the opener, and you're down to 1 Thunder Focus T-Charge. And now this Thunder Focus T-Charge is just going to put, it's never going to stack up to 2 charges. You're going to be using it on cooldown, so essentially you're going to have 1 Thunder Focus T-Charge after a little bit. But as Conduit of the Celestials, you're actually able to reduce the cooldown of your Thunder Focus T, which literally happens when you use your Thunder Focus Tea. When you use your Thunder Focus Tea, you increase the cooldown recovery rate of your Renewing Mist, Rising Sun Kick, Life Cocoon, and Thunder Focus Tea. So not only playing Conduit of the Celestials will you get faster Thunder Focus Teas, you're also going to get faster Life Cocoons. And whenever you use Celestial Conduit, you actually proc Heart of the Jade Serpent. And Celestial Conduit is a very strong defensive cooldown that you can use, and it will pretty much top somebody from no health to full health. It's like an Emerald Communion, except you can move around with it. I'll use it right here, just to show you. There we go. And then, that will make your Thunder Focus Tea recharge faster. So, what this will do is it will actually make you get more Thunder Focus Teas than somebody with Master of Harmony. You will have an additional cooldown called Celestial Conduit that you can use to like save people. And then also, since Master of Harmony is more Fistweaver tuned, and you have like worthless talents like Chi Wave does 50% increased damage, which doesn't matter. Casting Tiger's Lust, this one's kind of nice, but it's worthless. And then you have Rising Sun Kick, 5% additional damage. You know, then you have like increased stuff to Vitality, which is like the whole thing about Aspect of Harmony is whenever you press your Thunder Focus Tea. I'm not going to get into it, but basically half of these talents are bugged. This is bugged. This is bugged. This is bugged. So it's not worth it. So hopefully I discouraged you from playing Master of Harmony, which is a mistake that a lot of beginner Mistweavers make. So now let's get into some more things of why Conduit of the Celestials is the better hero talent tree. So we get Temple Training, which means we get 6% increased healing on Enveloping Mist and Sheilun's Gift. Well, Vivify is technically Sheilun's Gift, so 6% to Enveloping Mist and Sheilun's Gift, which is like the two main healing sources that you're going to use. Then you have like this little like proc or whatever. This is like no big deal. And then you have 75% increased movement speed during Celestial Conduit. And you get like a little bonus after. So when you conduit, you know, you can cover a little bit more ground to get like closer to your teammate, unless you're like snared or something. Then it is what it is. And then Niu Zhao's Protection. This is like, I love this talent. I love playing Conduit because I get to play this talent, and basically it makes your Fort Brew just like, it turns you unkillable because it gives you shield for 25% of your health, and then on top of that, your spec. Well, you get 1 minute 30, but you can spec into Iron Shell Brew if you're really worried about dying, and you can get a 2-minute Fort Brew that's like super strong. Now, Fort Brew is like your personal cooldown. Basically, they made Diffuse Magic a passive, and now whenever you press Fortifying Brew, it will basically act as a Diffuse Magic. And some cool things that you can do with this is you can like Fortifying Brew to get out of a Root Beam. You can Fortifying Brew a Shadow Priest Silence and reflect it back onto them. You can Fortifying Brew a DK's Silence and reflect it back onto them and get out of it. So, you know, there are now some like cool interactions that you've unlocked by baking this into a passive, just so you know. So Fort Brew, it's basically your only personal cooldown, but it's extremely strong, and it's a 1.5 minute cooldown. So just keep that in mind. Now you can get like a reduced cast time on Enveloping Mist. This is kind of bad. It'll make your Enveloping Mist like glow, which is like which isn't good. You don't want to cast it when it glows because it's not going to be an instant cast. It's going to be a 50% reduced cast time. It's a bait. You don't want to press it. The only time you want to press your Enveloping Mist is when you press Soothing Mist to cast it, or if you press Thunder Focus Tea to cast it instantly. So now we've got an Inner Compass. Basically, after you use your Celestial Conduit, you can get like either 2% haste, crit, verse, and mastery, and this just switches like throughout the game. So you know, it's just nice to have like 2% of a stat. Even though like mastery and crit aren't good, you know, you can get like haste and versatility, which is nice. And then this is like something cool. Basically, when you press Conduit, you just want to like spam it because you can use it and give yourself like a very small shield. So you know, just press it twice when you use it. You get a little tiny shield on top of your Conduit healing. So then this, basically every time you use Sheilun's Gift, you can trigger this cooldown reduction, which is actually pretty cool. Because this reduces your Thunder Focus Tea and your Life Cocoon cooldown by 75%. So basically, as Conduit, you can actually get some really fast Life Cocoons, which is really cool. And then while you have this proc, Heart of the Jade Serpent, you also get 10% more haste, which, as I said earlier, that's going to make you do even more Enveloping Mist heal. So Conduit, best hero talents. That's where you want to play. That's an overview of them. Now, lastly, getting into Spirit Font, you're going to want to go 3 or 4 points in this, and that's depending on whether you're playing solo shuffle or if you're playing like threes, you know, like maybe even like Battleground Blitz, I would say, to drop a point on like a team fight to get like more mana. But what Spirit Font does is whenever you use your Vivify, you're not really going to be using your Rising Sun Kick as a Mistweaver. You're not going to use any of your melee attacks. So basically, whenever you use your Vivify, you can activate Spirit Font, which allows your Enveloping Mist to channel onto 5 allies at 20% effectiveness. Now, you don't really care too much about this one, but rank 2 is very nice because you have Rising Sun Kick damage increased by 20%, which we don't care about, and then Enveloping Mist healing increased by 20%. And now, when Spirit Font is active, and now this is what we care about Spirit Font, is these bonuses are increased by 50%. So basically, whenever Spirit Font's active, you'll get, instead of 20% Enveloping Mist healing, you'll get 30% Enveloping Mist healing. So you're going to want to spec into at least 3 of here. And now the 4th rank of it basically makes it so that this Thunder Focus Tea activates your Spirit Font, and then also gives you small shields from Celestial Harmony, these Chi Cocoons, that will apply them at 30% effectiveness. So it'll give you a small shield, but most importantly, it activates Spirit Font, which will allow you to get 30% increased Enveloping Mist healing, which is very important because whenever you press your Thunder Focus Tea, the one spell that you want to be casting with your Thunder Focus Tea is Enveloping Mist. So you'll immediately get this 30% buff from your Spirit Font, and basically it will make your Thunder Focus Tea even stronger. So if you're playing solo shuffle, I very highly recommend to play 4 stacks because you're not really going to run out of mana in a solo shuffle setting. So you're not going to be worried about speccing into Energizing Brew and getting 20% more mana. However, what you will be worried about is doing more healing in the dampening that's ramping so fast. So this is definitely what you want to be playing in Shuffle. Now, if you're playing threes and you're playing like some super dampening comp and like stuff like that, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to drop this 4th stack of Spirit Font and just spec into Energizing Brew instead. Because this 10% increase that you get from Enveloping Mist from proccing your Spirit Font off the Thunder Focus Tea and those tiny Chi Cocoons aren't going to be as worth it in a slower setting where that 10% buff isn't really going to make that much of a difference because 3's dampening is a lot lower. You're going to want to spec into Energizing Brew to get more mana so that way you don't have to drink as frequently. So hopefully that all makes sense for you. Now, as the last part of the caster guide, I'm just going to go over like some basic rotations and basic combos that you're going to want to do while you're in the arena. So, when you enter an arena, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to drop your port on a pillar, and this was Transcendence. So, yeah, you drop this, and basically this will allow you to just have your port behind a pillar, and now you see right here, there's a wall, so whenever I port, I'll be out of line of sight, and I'll be safe when I press this. So that's something to know. Oh shit, I forgot to go over PvP talents. Sorry. My bad. PvP talents that you want Zen Focus Tea. Basically, after you use Thunder Focus Tea, you're going to be immune to interrupts for the next 5 seconds. And a lot of the time, you might not use this that much, but it can be helpful for casting something like a Song of Chi-Ji, you know? You can get this out because this is kickable, and people will look to kick this because this is a long CC. As you see right here, if I don't know if this guy will get CC'd. Yeah, he immuned it, but it's like a 6-second CC. So people will try to kick that. But it's just very important that you know Thunder Focus Tea, you get some Aura Mastery benefit from it. Now, second on your PvP talents is going to be Zen Spheres. And what Zen Spheres are going to do for you, basically, whenever you cast a Soothing Mist on anybody, like basically whoever you're trying to heal, it will apply a 10% additional healing buff which makes you do 10% more healing, and it's really nice. So if I want to heal this dummy, I'm going to start with like a Soothing Mist, and then I can put on my Enveloping Mist, and then I get this 20% modifier, I get this 10% modifier, and then I get this 6% modifier. And whenever I press Enveloping Mist, it procs my Renewing Mist, so I don't really have to worry too much about applying these. But Soothing Mist applies the Sphere of Hope, and then you get these Enveloping Mists, and then you can spam Vivifies with all 3 of these modifiers active. So that's something cool. And then if you want to apply an enemy sphere, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to use your Crackling Jade Lightning, and then that will apply a Sphere of Despair. And then this gives a 10% increased damage buff to the target, which means they take 10% more damage, and then they also deal 3% less damage. So the best way to use this in a PvP scenario is basically just use it on whoever your teammates are killing. That way they take 10% more damage, and then on top of that, your Crackling Jade Lightning is also going to apply Mystic's Touch, which makes them take 5% more physical damage. So if you're playing with physical classes, it's actually a 15% increased damage. Which is very nice. So yeah, Crackle applies a Sphere of Despair, and you want to apply it on the target that your enemies are killing in a PvP scenario. So now the last one that you spec into is Peaceweaver, and basically what this does is it reduces Restoral's cooldown by another 16%, which is one of your main cooldowns, so you're going to want this. And then it also gives you immunity to magical damage and harmful effects for 2 seconds. And what that means is, like, let's say a mage with Combustion is bursting you really hard in a stun. What you can do is you can press Restoral. It's going to be a very massive heal, and then it'll immune you from the mage's combustion for about 2 seconds, which is, you know, like plenty of time. It gives you time to for sure get out of that stun and be able to recover. So Peaceweaver, very important. If you're going to switch any talent, I would say to switch Zen Focus Tea. And if you don't like Zen Focus Tea, what you can spec into is Absolute Serenity. Now, Absolute Serenity is very nice because you can use it to immune all crowd control for its duration. And basically, you can become unstoppable when you're in Celestial Conduit. And I don't know if it's going to work too well on the dummies here, but Celestial Conduit does a lot of healing. It will top somebody if you have, like, you don't even have to have the Enveloping Mist modifier on them, but it's a very nice heal, and you're gonna want to be immune while using this if you don't want Zen Focus Tea. That's like the next up. And then I would say third up is Eminence, but I'm not a fan of Eminence, and I don't promote playing that talent because I think it's bad. So that's PvP talents. Now, I did mix in the PvP talents with like a bit of rotation, so hopefully you caught most of that. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. But other than that, that's mostly what you're gonna do. You just want to make sure use your Enveloping Mist before you press a Vivify. That's the #1 rule of Mistweaver, is Enveloping Mist before you Vivify, no matter what. You need that to be applied. Now, some things that you can do, you know, if you have like 10 stacks of Shayloon's Gift because you've been in like combat for a bit, you can use that 10 stack of Shayloon as like a very strong heal. Like I'll show you in a second once I gather some stacks. You get a stack every 4 seconds, which is pretty generous, and you can actually use it as a very big heal. So right here we're at 6 stacks, and we'll just use it at 7. So right here, let's say I don't have any time. This guy's like 5% and he's like freaking out. I notice I have 8 stacks of Shayloon's Gifts, so I'm gonna pop that on him, and it healed him for 300,000. Now you can see right here my health is 265,000, and I'm not skilled with my PvP gear. So if it healed him at 7 stacks, which isn't even the max stacks of 10, and it healed him for basically more than my HP bar, it's a big heal. Now, keep in mind that this is unnerfed right now, and on Tuesday, this is going to be nerfed by 23% per stack. It's still going to do a lot of healing, and it's still going to be meaningful. So if you have a lot of Shayloon's Gift stacks saved up, which you most likely won't, as you're going to be having to use it to heal, it's a good option to use as like kind of like an emergency way of healing. But generally, if you really need to heal somebody, you're going to want to get your Enveloping Mist up, and then you're going to Vivify, and then you're going to spam Vivify after you have your Enveloping Mist, and then make sure that you reapply it before or slightly after it runs out, just to keep that modifier going and that healing. Now, usually what the healing breakdown looks like for caster Mistweaver is you're going to have a renewing mist near the top, same with enveloping mist, and then Sheilun's gift is going to be slightly lower with celestial conduit, and then like overflowing mist, etc. So if you play this build and you do what I've been saying, you're going to do fine. Caster Mistweaver is in a great spot this season. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, we made that in 44 minutes. That's not bad. So now we're going to get into Fistweaver, and we're going to talk about Fistweaver. So welcome to the Fistweaver portion of the guide. If you want to play Fistweaver, we just got to wait a bit. I got to wait to change my talents. But while we wait to change our talents, I'm going to get into the races that you're going to want as Fistweaver. And now these are going to be pretty much the same as Caster, but I'm going to put a lot more emphasis on playing Orc and High Mountain Tauren. These are the two ones that you're going to want to play as Fistweaver. And what Orc will do is you'll sit stuns at a lower duration. So let's say you get like cheap shot for like 4 seconds. That's going to be less when you play Orc. So you'll get out of stuns sooner, and that's something that's really important as Fistweaver. You don't want to be stunned a lot because you want to be like out there doing damage, you know, to do your healing. And if you're stunned, you can't do damage. Usually you're in a more aggressive position as Fistweaver, so you're more prone and susceptible to getting stunned. So Orc would probably be my top one recommendation. My second recommendation would be High Mountain Tauren. High Mountain Tauren gives you 1% versatility by default, and will also give you kind of like an Earthen Totem-like effect, where basically you take less damage from each attack. So basically, all around, High Mountain Tauren makes you a lot tankier. And it's something you're going to want to spec into, because sometimes you'll get people try to kill you as Fistweaver. And then another thing, that 1% versatility is also going to make you do 1% more damage and 1% more healing. So it's actually very nice. You're going to want to spec into that. So High Mountain Tauren and Orc are the two best races for Fistweaver. You're going to want those. Now, since those are both Horde races, maybe you're an Alliance person and you want to play Alliance. That's fine. Now, my number one recommendation if you want to play Alliance is play Gnome. You'll get 5% more mana if you play Gnome, and then on top of that, you'll get a 1-minute escape artist racial, which you can use to get rid of any snares and roots on you. So you can use that to help yourself move around. Now, second up for Alliance would have to be Night Elf, but I would discourage really the use of Night Elf. It is slightly better on Fistweaver, as you can use it to like meld CC cast. Like, let's say somebody's casting a Fear or a Polymorph on you, you can shadow meld that cast and avoid it. And since you're more in there kind of as Fistweaver, even though Kick is a 25-yard range, and that's what you're going to be using as your main attack for Fistweaver, you're still going to be a little bit more pushed up than a caster Mistweaver, and shadow meld might become useful. Now, the other use for shadow meld is if you're playing threes, you can use it to drop combat instantly, and start drinking immediately. So, now we've covered the races. Now let's get into the stats. So, for gear as Fistweaver, it's pretty simple. You're gonna want haste and you're gonna want versatility. So, as you can see right here, you don't want mastery and you don't want crit. These do nothing for you, and I have full haste, full versatility. All of my gear, this one is verse mastery because I don't have a choice, but once the season comes out, I will be crafting all of my mastery pieces to haste, and my armory is actually going to be in the description of this video. So if you want to copy my gear, let's say you're watching this like 2 months from now, you can still copy a extremely accurate version of my gear. It's going to be a lot different from this because I'll have full conquest pieces, and you can see kind of what I'm buying for my pieces, and you can just copy my gear. So that armory will be in the description. But if you're watching this, like, let's say like the day it was posted, you know, a couple days after. This information is going to be very relevant to my gear. So I'm going to review my gear real quick, as well as the enchants are going to be relevant and the gems. So, anyways, right here. Okay, so we have haste first for all of our pieces. We have to pick up a mastery ring, and we have to pick up mastery gloves. Those are going to be our only mastery pieces, if I remember correctly. Yup. Okay, so the enchants that you're going to want for your ring is going to be Silver Moon's Alacrity, and that's just a haste enchant. Gives you more haste, allows you to get your globals out faster, and that also will make your enveloping mist tick faster, which will give you more healing. So there is that. Now the gem that you're going to want to put in like your rings, your neck, and whatever you get socketed is going to be called Flawless Versatile Peridot. And this is just plus 16 haste, plus 7 verse. You want these haste first gems. And for the boots, you're going to get Far Strider's Hunt. This is just like a little bit of a speed enchant. And for your legs, you're going to get a leg armor that gives you 4% increased mana. So right here, it's going to be called Arcana Weave Spell Thread, and you're going to want to buy the tier 3 one, even though it's a little bit expensive, because it'll give you 4% more mana and 41 intellect. Very important enchant right here. If I had to get only like 2 of these enchants, I would get the leg enchant and the chest enchant. And now the chest enchant is going to be Mark of the Magister, and Mark of the Magister will give you 5% more mana. So these are very important. So now, for your shoulders, you're going to get Ackles on Swiftness. This is just another speed enchant. And then you're going to get on the helmet Empowered Blessing of Speed. So these are going to be the best enchants. So now, the gem that you're going to want, your Thalassian Diamond, is going to be Cognitive Heliotrope. And this is just precog. Basically, when you fake a cast, you get a buff for 4 seconds. And when you get precog from the enemy missing their kick, you can't be stunned, you can't be knocked, you can't be interrupted. You're basically free to cast as is. And sometimes, as Fistweaver or Hybrid, you're going to be casting as well as punching. So, yeah, you're going to be playing this. And now, something that's bugged right now, if you're looking to like gear for like the start of this season, maybe it's a couple months in the season, it's probably going to be changed, and this bug isn't going to be exploitable. But currently what you can do right now is you can actually equip your last season's Algary Diamond, and you can have 2. So right now, I have Precognition, and then I can also buy an Enduring Bloodstone, which is last expansion's version of Precog. Then they have Enduring, and then they have a 1 for mana. So what you can do is you can abuse this last season's one, and it will make you take 5% less damage when you're in CC, and then you also get an additional 12 primary stat. So if you're not doing this, do it. 12 primary stat is huge, as well as being 5% like tankier in stuns. So if this is nerfed and you look at my armory and you don't see me playing both of these gems, just keep that in mind, and instead of getting a second one, just replace it with a Flawless Versatile Peridot, and then play Precognition. So again, my armory for all of this is going to be in the description, so you can follow this as, even if this is like a couple months in the season and you're watching this, you can still copy my armory and be able to follow my gear as it gets updated. So anyways, that's my gear, armory in the description, and then we're going to get into talents. So, talents for Fistweaver. The left tree, we're going to go over some important things that we get from the left tree. A lot of it is just like a lot of like building stuff. You can read this when you import my talents. Talents will obviously be in the description. So, right here, fast feet. This is very important. You actually need to spec into this, otherwise Fistweaver is going to seem terrible. Rising Sun Kick deals 70% increased damage. You need to spec into this. This is a must, you know. If you don't have this, you're going to be nerfed by 70%, and nobody wants to do that to themselves. So make sure you're spec'd into that. Now, paralysis. This is just a CC that you have. You can use it. You can use it on people. It will get rid of all bleeds and all like all poisons, all dots, all everything. And it breaks like instantly to damage. So usually you're gonna want to use this on the healer. So yeah, then Tiger's Lust, it's a nice utility option that you have. You use this like mostly on yourself to get yourself out of roots, but you can also use this on your teammates. Let's say you have like a warrior in a root, you can Tiger's Lust him out of the root, and he'll be very happy about that. He'll get to run at whoever he's trying to kill. It's 70% faster, and he'll get out of his root without you having to just like dispel it. And you can even save your dispel. Let's say you Tiger's Lust him out of the root, and he gets sheeped a second later. Then you can dispel the sheep. You see what I mean? Something also to know is that Vivificacious Vivification, after casting Rising Sun Kick, your Sheilun's Gift becomes instant cast, and now Sheilun's Gift is replacing Vivify this season for Mistweaver. So you can see right here, Sheilun's Gift replaces Vivify. You play this for both specs, you'll basically get instant cast Vivifies after you press your Rushing Wind Kick, which changes from your Rising Sun Kick, but they still call it like, it's interchangeable. If you see Rising Sun Kick, no, it means Rushing Wind Kick, and Rushing Wind Kick is Rising Sun Kick. Just understand that. So that's important. Now you have your Transcendent. This is just standard monk port. You can place your port down using Transcendence, and it will put it down right where you are, and then you can make distance from it, as I did right here, but I'm going to do another one. See, it drops exactly where you are, and then you can run away from it, and let's say I like run around a pillar, then I can port, and I change. And now another thing about it is that you can spec into Escape from Reality, which means you have 2 ports. So like you can use it to like juke people out, You use port the first time, the warrior leaps on you, you port again, and then now the warrior can't like leap back at you, maybe he'll charge you, or like he gets like another leap, leaps back at you. You can use it to like bait mobility and stuff like that. So now Song of Chi-Ji, you spec into this. This is a CC that you have. It's a 6-second fear in, or I guess disorient, but it shares a fear DR. And you can use this, and it's oftenly combined with, like 99% of the time, you want to start with a paralysis, and then you want to cast a Song of Chi. Now you go Peace and Prosperity. That way you get a faster Song of Chi-Ji cast time, and it's also going to be even faster because you're spec'd into full haste, which is like another bonus. So this cast time is going to be like very, very quick, Like boom. It's a 1.1 second cast, which gives you plenty of time after you paralysis somebody for like, I think it's like 3 seconds, You have plenty of time to like get there and cast on them. So that's like a little basic CC thing that you can do as Mistweaver. And now your main defensive is going to be Fort Brew. Now Fort Brew, basically it just does what it says. It increases your maximum health by 30% and reduces all damage you take by 30%. Now there's something that you get from playing Conduit as Celestials. You also get a 25% shield. So this is going to be a very fat cooldown. Basically you can't die through your Fort Brew if you press it. It's going to keep you alive for, like definitely like at least for like 10 out of 15 seconds of its duration. It's very hard to die through pressing Fort Brew. And then you also spec into Iron Shell Brew. And now with Iron Shell Brew, you get another 10% maximum health and another 10% damage reduction. So you are just not dying through your Fort Brew ever. Now something also really good about this is that you can also get diffuse magic. So whenever you press your Fort Brew, it's going to like get rid of all the magic effects and debuffs that you have, and it's going to put them back onto the people who casted them. So this might not seem like a big deal, but what you can actually do is, let's say you get like root beamed by a boomkin. You can actually press Fort Brew while you're in the root beam, and it will dispel the root off of you, and you can get out of the root beam. Or let's say you get Shadow Priest silenced, and you're in a full silence. You can press Fort Brew while you're in that silence, and you'll reflect the silence back onto the Shadow Priest. Let's say you get silenced by a DK. You can press it, and it will reflect the silence back onto the DK. So you can get out of a lot of silences and a lot of CC that you previously couldn't, which is very nice. You know, those are like a couple new interactions that are unlocked. And then we have Summon Jade Serpent statue. Basically, whenever you enter an arena, you're just going to want to put this statue like smack dab in the middle of the arena. And what this is going to do, it's going to work with this talent, and I'll get into that later, but it's important to just drop a statue in the middle of the map so that whenever you Soothing Mist, it pops this little Soothing Mist onto you and it heals you. So now let's see. Okay, yeah, lastly, lighter than air. The last, like, important thing in the left tree, basically, after you roll, you can double jump again and dash forward a short distance that you're facing. So right here, boom, you saw that little dash. Do it again. Boom. Let's say I want to leg sweep this guy. Boom. Dash on him, leg sweep. He can't react. You know what I mean? So it's really nice to use as like a gap closer. You can also use it to like just get around a pillar faster. It's honestly my favorite ability on Mistweaver is this one. These little double jumps are like so fun to mess around with. You know, you can even like gap close to get to somebody to like touch a death him. Like I want to touch a death him. Boom. I get there. I touch a death him. You know, like it's very nice. I like it. I have a lot of fun using this ability. Makes Mistweaver very enjoyable. Now, let's get into what do we want to do for hero or right tree? Let's do right tree. Okay. So Enveloping Mist. This is like your main healing. This is going to be one of your top heals. Basically, it's like a heal over time effect. And when you apply it, you will also get a modifier to do 20% more to get 20% increased healing from your other spells. So this would like mean that, let's say I put up an Enveloping Mist, it would make my Vivify heal 20% more. That's basically how it's going to work. And then you pick up this, you know, you get 300% more Renewing Mist healing, you know, 500% Shayloon's Gift healing on its primary target, which is just ridiculous. But you get, like, you're just picking up a bunch of modifiers here in, like, these first nodes. And Thunder Focus Tea is probably the most important thing for Fistweaver right now. This ability is very important. You're going to want to make sure that you're using this. And what it's going to do for you is it will make your Rising Sun Kick's cooldown reduced by 9 seconds. And basically, this combines with Morning Breeze. And what Morning Breeze will do, it will reset the cooldown of your Rising Sun Kick. And Rising Sun Kick is changed to Rushing Wind Kick in the right tree. So I'll show you real quick why this is so OP. So you're going to want to open, you know, you press your Rushing Wind Kick. Well, damn, I don't have it for another 10 seconds. You use the Thunder Focus Tea. It gets reset by Morning Breeze, and then you can press it again, and then you also get the Thunder Focus Tea buff of its cooldown being reduced by 9 seconds. So then you can press it again, and then 2 seconds later, you can press it again. So you get a lot more kicks whenever you use your Thunder Focus Tea to reset your Rushing Wind Kick. So this is very important. Now, your major cooldowns as Mistweaver are going to be Life Cocoon, Restoral, and I'll go deeper into the Rushing Wind Kick stuff later. But that was just a little bit of a preview. Your big cooldowns are going to be Life Cocoon, Restoral, and Celestial Conduit. We're going to get into Celestial Conduit later since it's in your hero talents, but we're going to start off with Life Cocoon and Revival. Life Cocoon is a single target cooldown that pops a massive shield onto the person that you're targeting. So right here, it's going to disappear instantly because this training dummy is like taking infinite damage, but it's a 280,000 absorb, which if you look with like the scaling of my HP, it's just a little bit larger than a full HP bar. So this is like guaranteed to save somebody who's in trouble. So now usually Cocoon is traded with your Trinket. You go Trinket Cocoon to like save somebody who's in trouble, and a more AoE cooldown, but also most notably you can use this while you're stunned, is called Restoral, and Restoral will heal all of the people in your range, like, you know, 40 yards, I think, yeah, 40 yards. There's a 40-yard range, and it will heal everybody. So it will heal you, it will heal both of your teammates if you're playing like threes or shuffle, or if you're playing a BG, it will heal literally everybody within 40 yards of you. So, yeah, very nice. And this, you can use it while you're stunned. So you want to get out of your stuns to use your life cocoon. So you want to trinket cocoon, and then when you're in stun, you're gonna have restoral as like an additional cooldown. And it doesn't work on those dummies, so you didn't see it heal this one dummy, but you get the idea. And it's a very massive heal. It does a lot of healing and will definitely save you. And then it's combined with Peaceweaver, which reduces your cooldown of restoral by 16%, and then it will also give you a 2-second magic immunity. So basically, if there's like a mage combusting you and you press restoral while you're in a stun, he won't be able to land a hit on you for the next 2 seconds because you'll be immune. Now, another thing that restoral goes with is uplifted spirits. You get 30 seconds less on restoral and 15% more restoral healing. And now something that you need to pick up for Life Cocoon is Calming Coalescence, which just gives you a flat out 80% absorb increase on Life Cocoon, which is very nice. Now something also nice to know is that it will apply both of your heal over time effects, Renewing Mist and Enveloping Mist, and then you have a 45-second cooldown reduction on Life Cocoon. So these talents, they're all just mandatory up here. And let's look at Healing Elixir. Healing Elixir is one of the passives that you get. And basically, when you go below 40% health, it will proc these Healing Elixirs. And these Healing Elixirs will heal you for 15% of your maximum health. And you have 2 of them, and they recharge every 30 seconds, and they stack up to 2 times. So when you enter an arena, you're going to have 2 stacks of them, and it's going to look something like that. And it will heal you for 15% of your health. And this works in stuns. So if you're in stun, it's a little bit of a safety guard, but note that it's not that great of a safety guard. It will you can die through them because you're really squishy as a Mistweaver. Even if you're playing full verse, you're really prone to dying. So anyways, we have Way of the Serpent and Way of the Crane. Now you're thinking, is Fistweaver, oh well, I'm gonna want Way of the Crane, but Way of the Crane has just been reworked into like this weird thing where basically if you're a full melee Fistweaver, you're going to be playing this. And this makes Tiger Palm strike twice, Black Hook Kick strike 2 more times, and this is usually paired with Jadefire Teachings. Now, we're not playing this type of Fistweaver build, so we're actually going to be playing Way of the Serpent. And Way of the Serpent gives us 15% more Shaylun's Gift healing and 30% more Renewing Mist healing. So it's quite nice. We get just basically some more healing. Now, something that you want to note is that we're not playing Yulon as Fistweaver, but we're playing Chi-Ji. And what Chi-Ji is going to do is it will make you immune to slows, which is the most important thing about Chi-Ji. Is it will just act as like a freedom, which is like which is very nice because it allows you to like get closer to people and not worry about having to get slowed. And it's very important for playing Fist. So some additional stuff that it does is you can get instant cast Enveloping Mists. But it also reduces the mana cost of your Enveloping Mist by 20%, as opposed to the 50% that you get from Yulon. But you're mostly using this to just get rid of all your snares and be unsnareable. So some nice things that you can do with Chi-Ji is sometimes you can use it like before a Boomkin root beams you. That way they can't root you. You can use it to get out of roots yourself. And it will give you instant cast Enveloping Mists after you use like your wind kicks. Then something that's also a modifier whenever you use your Chi-Ji, which is a 1-minute cooldown, because you're spec'd into Gift of the Celestials. You will also apply Chi Cocoons with this. So this will give your team like a small shield. Like you see right here, it gave the dummy a 39,000 HP shield, which isn't bad. It gives a tiny shield, and then you play Gift of the Celestials. So this is like a 1-minute cooldown. So you can see right there, that is that's very nice, and you get 20% reduction on your mana cost for your Enveloping Mists. So you get cheaper Enveloping Mists. So that's GG for you. Then you spec into Overflowing Mist. This is just a passive. Basically, every time somebody takes damage and you have Enveloping Mist on them, they get healing. This is usually pretty up there on your healing breakdown, so you're going to want to make sure that you're applying Enveloping Mists. And then Mist Wrap increases Enveloping Mist's duration by 1 second and healing bonus from 10%. This is just another modifier. And now you have to spec into Pool of Mist, which gives you 3 renewing mist charges, and it also reduces your cooldown of Rising Sun Kick by 1 second, which isn't like that crazy, and you're not really gonna press it to like reduce your Rising Wind Kick cooldown, but you just use it to spec into Rushing Wind Kick. And Rushing Wind Kick is like the main ability of Fistweaver. Basically, it replaces your Rising Sun Kick and is just a more empowered version of Rising Sun Kick. It's a 25-yard kick compared to Rising Sun Kick, where you have to like get right on top of them, get in melee range. This one, you can kick somebody from like this far. You know, you see I hit him right there. So it's a ranged kick, which means you're a Fistweaver, but you can attack from a pretty comfortable 25-yard range. And now you also do get a healing bonus whenever you press your Rushing Wind Kick. It will heal people. So something to know is that you do get Ancient Teachings by default on Mistweaver, or Jadefire Teachings, but it gets buffed when you take this talent. So just know that you have, by default, you have 100%. So instead of picking Jadefire Teachings to transfer an additional 200% damage of healing, you'll get that original 100%, but you'll have a much stronger kick that you're going to be able to use to do damage. And right now, Rushing Wind Kick is like pretty much terrorizing everybody. Like you can see in these details, I'm doing top damage in these games. I'm one-shotting people with this Wind Kick. I have no issues healing. And now this will get nerfed probably by the time that you're watching this, but it's still going to be doing a disgusting amount of damage, because this is only getting, the Wind Kick is only getting nerfed by 20%, and the Jadefire Stomp is getting nerfed by 50%. So if you do the math and you do the calculations, I'm still going to be doing basically just as much damage as any other DPS. So Fistweaver is absolutely disgusting with this Rushing Wind Kick. And now, something that you have to spec into just to do more damage is Emperor's Elixir. And Emperor's Elixir will proc something called a Jadefire Stomp every time you Rushing Wind Kick. And it actually, not every time you Rushing Wind Kick. When you use your Thunder Focus Tea and you Rushing Wind Kick, using the cooldown reduction from it, you will proc Jadefire Stomp. And now Jadefire Stomp, it actually is bugged right now. You actually get the Windwalker version of it. Even if they change it, it's still something you're going to want to spec into, because you're going to get additional damage on your Rushing Wind Kicks. You see right here, I Rushing Wind Kick, I don't get it. But when I Thunder Focus Tea and I Rushing Wind Kick, then I spit out that Stomp and I get that extra damage. You see 76k and 37k? That's like 100k basically each kick. And I don't have my PvP gear like modified, because they don't have any PvP dummies, which is like really lame. But yeah, there's no PvP dummies, but if there was PvP dummies, this would be scaled to a pretty disgusting amount. So some additional things to know is that Morning Breeze is also a very important talent that you're going to want to take, and basically whenever you use Thunder Focus Tea, you'll get a cooldown reset on your Rushing Wind Kick. So for example, before you use your Thunder Focus Tea, you're going to want to make sure that your Rushing Wind Kick is on cooldown, because when you use your Thunder Focus Tea to get more kicks, it will reset that cooldown no matter how long it is. If you're sitting an 11-second Rushing Wind Kick cooldown, it will reduce it all the way to 0. That's important. It's also increased by your Mastery rating, and then you can say, oh, hey, well, why don't I build full mastery on Fistweaver if Rising Sun Kick's damage, or Rushing Wind Kick's damage, is increased by your mastery rating? And going full mastery is actually going to only increase your kick damage by around 9.5%, which isn't going to be worth the trade-off of being able to do Rushing Wind Kicks faster, and then also the healing that you're losing from your Enveloping Mist ticking slower. So Morning Breeze it's worth specking into. And you do get a little bit of additional damage, but you're not going to want to build full mastery. That's a foolish thing to do, and you don't want to do it. Now, Secret Infusion. This is very nice. Basically, after using Thunder Focus Tea, your next spell gives 8% of a stat. And they gave all the terrible stats to Caster Mistweaver, of course, so that the Fistweavers, every time they Rising Sun kick, they get 8% versatility. So, right here, I Wind Kick, and I get Secret Infusion, versatility increased by 8%, so now I have 22% versatility, and this will last for a couple seconds, and you can keep refreshing this by just more Wind Kicks. So you get 8% more versatility, which will make you do more damage after your first Wind Kick, which is huge. And then you can also use this to spec into Mistline. Mistline is a very nice passive talent that you can spec into, which just increases your renewing mist ceiling in 200%. It says 500%, but it's 200% in PvP. But it still does a disgusting amount of healing. And some games, renewing mist is actually my top healing. So it's really good to spec into Mistline. And then Sheilun's Gift, it replaces Vivify, but it's just a Vivify. It's just like a fancy way of and then every time you're in combat, every 8 seconds you're in combat, you get a stack of Sheilun's Gift. Now this isn't going to be really important because Sheilun's Gift is nerfed when the season comes out, so you're just going to have you're just going to have a 10% healing per stack instead of 33% healing per stack, so it's really not going to matter. And this isn't going to stack up too much because it's not like you're playing Veil of Pride. But just a general rule of thumb, I have 10 stacks of Sheilun's Gift right now. So pre-nerfs, this is going to do a crazy amount of healing, which is 192,000. And that's without any modifiers. That's out without any Enveloping Mist modifier, without any Sphere of Hope modifier, and Renewing Mist modifier. So it's a disgusting amount of healing, but just keep in mind that it's probably going to be nerfed a lot, but a high stack Sheilun's heal is still a lot, but you're not really going to be getting to high stacks when you're playing Fistweaver, because a lot of the time you use your rushing Wind Kicks to get your instant cast Sheilun's Gifts as a way of doing some additional healing, so you're not really you're not really ever stacking this. But it is good to know that the more stacks you have, the more healing that you're going to do with your Sheilun's Gifts. Now, Focus Thunder, you have to spec into this because it gives you 2 charges of Thunder Focus Tea, which essentially just will give you more Wind Kicks, and more Wind Kicks is good. Now, Peaceful Mending. Peaceful Mending reads, allies targeted by your soothing mist receive 40% more healing from Enveloping Mist and Renewing Mist effects. And, this would be pretty bad if you actually had to, hold your cast like this to get this buffs. But with the Jade Serpent statue in the left part of the tree, you can actually use this to proc the Peaceful Mending proc using your statue. So you see right here, I have all of my buffs, and I'm getting the Peaceful Mending proc from my statue casting Soothing Mist, which is very nice. So you're going to want to make sure your statue is in a good open spot, around the middle of the arena. That way it can hit that it can hit people, and you're going to get this buff. So that's pretty much the right tree. Now I'm gonna go look at Spirit Font. Now Spirit Font is basically Rising Sun Kick and Vivify have a chance to activate Spirit Font. Blah blah blah. You get some increased effectiveness, but you're only caring about your rank 2, and this is insane for Fistweaver. You get 20% Rising Sun Kick damage increase. That is massive. You're going to have to spec into this. And also, Enveloping Mist healing increased by 20%. And not to mention, if you do proc this Spirit Font thing from your rank 1, it will increase these to 30%. 30% effectiveness. So 30% increased rushing Wind Kick damage and 30% increased Enveloping Mist healing. So you're going to want to go 3 of these. You just don't have enough points to go 4 in Spirit Font. There's a lot of things you want to pick up as Fistweaver, but you're just losing 3 points having to go all the way down to rushing Wind Kick. But you're going to want 3 points here, and as Fistweaver, you don't really change your talents at all. So let's get into the hero tree. Now, the hero tree. There's a lot of choice in between which hero tree you want to take, and it's honestly a pretty close debate on whether Conduit is better and whether Master of Harmony is better. So I'm going to explain to you why Master of Harmony is the wrong choice and Conduit of Celestials is the right choice. So the main reason people want to play Master of Harmony is 2 Thunder Focus T-Charges and Meditative Focus for Fistweaving. So you get an additional 50% damage to healing, which would make you do more healing with your kicks. And then you also have 1 additional Thunder Focus T-Charge, which would allow you to get more kicks in like the opener of a game. Now, the reason why you don't want to go Master of Harmony is Coalescence is bugged, so it doesn't work. Clarity of Purpose is bugged, and Balanced Stratagem is also bugged and sometimes gets consumed on Chi Wave, which is pretty unfortunate. So just on top of that, like those nodes are bugged, which is like really lame. And then let's say you have an additional Thunder Focus T-Charge. Normally, as like a Fistweaver, you're gonna be using these Thunder Focus T-Charges like both at once. So what's gonna happen when you play this is you're gonna end up having just 1 Thunder Focus T-Charge because it's never gonna stack all the way up to your second charge of Thunder Focus T. And you're just going to be stuck on like 1 charge. So you have like an extra one for the opener, but whenever you play Conduit of the Celestials, you get Heart of the Jade Serpent. And basically every time you use your Thunder Focus T, you reduce your Thunder Focus T's cooldown by 75% for 8 seconds. So in the long game, you're actually going to get more Thunder Focus T's as Conduit of the Celestial compared to Master of Harmony. Now, you can say like, oh, well, I really like Meditative Focus. 50% more damage to healing from Ancient Teachings, well, that just has to be like a game changer, right? Wrong. Yulon's Knowledge, Rising Sun Kick damage increased by 15%. You get a 15% buff on your Rushing Wind Kick right here. That's pretty massive in my opinion. And then Temple Training, you get 6% increased healing on Enveloping Mist and Sheilun's Gift. So basically, 6% flat buff to your main modifier, which is going to be very high up on your healing done. You see right here, look at my healing done, Ancient Teachings. Okay, well, this was like a bad example because this was just a fast game. And probably all of these games are going to be bad examples because these aren't real games. These are games I was just running in and one-shotting everybody. I think I might have a good game on a Lordaeron. Yeah, no, these games aren't going to be great examples to see like healing breakdown because these are just like super fast games. But Enveloping Mist, right here. Here's a good game. I did 20 million healing this game. So you see right here, Renewing Mist is my top healing, actually. And that's thanks to Mistline being buffed by 200%, as well as all of these other buffs. So Renewing Mist is my top healing. Then Enveloping Mist is really up there. So that 6% buff to Enveloping Mist and Sheilun's Gift is actually going to be really nice. And then you also notice that I have Celestial Conduit on my healing, which is the main ability of Celestial Conduit. So, or Conduit of the Celestials. So you see right here that you're going to be, if you play Master of Harmony, you're not going to get Celestial Conduit healing. You're going to get 6% nerf on your Enveloping Mist and your Sheilun's Gift. You actually might lose out on some Ancient Teachings healing because your Rushing Wind Kick isn't going to be buffed by 15%. So, yeah, Conduit of Celestials, you get like an extra cooldown, and then something also nice about Fistweaver, like in combat, I need to drop combat. Something nice about Fistweaver is that you spec into the talent Absolute Serenity, and what Absolute Serenity is going to do for you is it's going to make you uncrowd controllable during your Celestial Conduit, and this basically just gives you like a very peaceful, very nice recovery. And here, I can take some fall damage and show you how much that Celestial Conduit actually does. Hopefully I don't die here. Okay, there we go. I'm at 84k. I pop Celestial Conduit. Boom, boom. Full health in 2 ticks. And now this ticks for like about like a lot longer. So you can see like not being able to be CC'd while you're casting this basically just makes you immortal and guarantees your team a chance to recover to full health. And then On top of that, you also get like a little bit of a shield that you can proc with it. It's very nice. And then something else to know is that you get these cooldown reductions from Thunder Focus Tea. Now, one thing, I'm not sure if I went over this yet, but when you use Thunder Focus Tea, you actually get reduced cooldown recovery rate on your life cocoon. So you see right here, I use life cocoon 114, 113. I pop a Thunder Focus Tea, and then boom, it starts going down a lot faster. That is not a second right there. Boom, 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 boom. And you can use this to get faster life cocoons. So playing Conduit, you'll get faster life cocoons, you'll get more Thunder Focus Tea, you'll have more damage, you'll have more healing, and you'll have an extra cooldown. And then not on top of that, you'll have an increased Fort Brew shield. So compared to picking up 3 bugged talents, you know, the choice here really is just completely obvious. So now let's take a look at the points that we haven't looked at the hero tree. So Celestial Conduit's healing and damage is increased by 100% when it hits a single target. This doesn't really matter. You're going to top everybody whenever you use this. But it's good to know that if you're just with one other person, you get a lot more healing. So, yeah. Inner Compass. Basically, after you use a Celestial Conduit, you'll either get a 2% increase to a stat until you use it again. Then this stat can be very helpful for you, like Haste and Versatility, or it can be bad for you, like Crit and Mastery. It's just a nice thing to have. And then this is like kind of just like some piss. You don't really have to worry about like this. Basically, you just like sometimes get some passive damage whenever you use like Shaylun's Gift or Tiger Palm. But I don't even have Tiger Palm as on my bars for this, and you're never going to want to use Tiger Palm. And then you also get increased movement speed whenever you use your Celestial Conduit. Now you're immune to all crowd control. You move 75% faster, and you guys saw how much healing that Conduit did. So let's say like my guy over here is in like a smoke bomb or something. I can like trinket and I conduit into the smoke bomb and I top him like right here, 100%. You know, like it's a very strong, very nice cooldown that you're gonna wanna use. So that's gonna be the overall review of the talents. Now, I'm going to get into a bit of your rotation and what you're going to want to do as a Fistweaver in an arena. So, basic rotation, since you're playing Zen Spheres are applied by either casting Soothing Mist on a friendly target, and it gives you a 10% increase in healing, or crackling an enemy target, which would make them take 10% more damage and deal 3% less damage. Now you can have a friendly version up, and you can have an enemy version up at the same time. So you can see right here, I have my friendly version right there, and then I also have my enemy version right here. So this is something that, you can apply, like, just if you're, like, running in, you crackle them, apply that, and then you can also use a cancel cast macro to stop casting your crackle. And you can do the same with canceling your Soothing Mist. Since as Way of the Serpent, you're moving while you're casting, it's not possible to, like, just stop casting by, like, just, like, moving or hitting... you'd have to like hit escape, or you can get a stop casting macro. Now I'd recommend a stop casting macro, and if you've played Mistweaver before and you've played with Zen Spheres, I would put that on the keybind that you previously had Zen Spheres on. And basically this will just mean like if I use Soothing Mist, I can hit my Zen Spheres bind, and it's basically like I just applied a Zen Sphere with like the extra input of like a Soothing Mist, or I applied an enemy orb with like the extra input of like the crackle on top of pressing that. So a stop casting macro is very simple to make. You're just going to want to go in your macros and type /stop casting. Then you drag that onto your bars, and you can use that to cancel your casts and fake kicks. So yeah, very, very important, very, very nice thing to have. So rotation. If you want to do max damage and you want to burst people really hard, like the max damage rotation is you just open with a crackle. You start with one wind kick to get your wind kick on cooldown, and then you reset your wind kick cooldown, and then you just spam it using your 2 Thunder Focus T stacks, and there we go. That's your max damage rotation. That's going to do a lot of damage, and it's going to do healing for your teammates as well. So getting into like how do you heal a teammate. Since this build doesn't rely fully on just using rushing wind kick to heal, you're going to have to apply your modifiers onto people. And I would say the most important modifier that you want to apply onto a teammate is going to be your is going to be your enveloping mist modifier. And basically what enveloping mist does, it's like a heal over time effect, and it increases your healing received from the monk by 20%. So you're going to want to have this up just to get more healing out, and it's a nice hot over time that that ticks faster, and then it also procs overflowing mists, which is very important. You're going to make sure you're using your enveloping mists and your rushing wind kicks. Those are two very important stuff. So let's say I want to heal somebody. I'm going to put up an enveloping mist. You know, he's got like his sphere of hope as well. Then I'm going to put out a wind kick. That's going to heal him because of the wind kick. And then it's also going to get healing increased from stuff like renewing mist and then enveloping mist, because you get rapid diffusion to apply renewing mist, and then you get increased like healing from somebody having renewing mist on them, and then also like mist line increasing renewing mist. It's important to get these buffs applied, because enveloping mist will proc and apply your renewing mist through rapid diffusion, and then lotus infusion will make them receive more healing when they have it up, as well as just casting a soothing mist and an enveloping mist will also just apply an orb. So you're basically applying 36% of healing modifiers with just 2 globals right there. Or you can use Thunder Focus Tea, and you can even use that to apply one, which I do sometimes. And yes, you will lose out on one rushing wind kick, but it's not the end of the world. So basically, you're going to want to use a balance between using Soothing Mist, getting your Enveloping Mist up, and then using your kicks to get your free Shayloon's gifts, and then using those to heal people. So it's a little bit complex to understand, but when you have to heal people, make sure you get your Enveloping Mist up, and then after you Rushing Wind Kick, you can use an instant cast Shayloon gift, and then use your Thunder Focus to reset your kicks, and then get more instant cast Shayloon gifts, which you can apply, as well as getting your Enveloping Mists up. So there you have it. That's like a basic rotation. And any additional things that I want to go over here? Just one little gimmick. If you're like already doing like max dam, you can try to blackout kick while your rushing wind kick is recharging. And what your blackout kick can do is it can actually reset the cooldown of your rushing wind kick right there. You see it just happened. Might happen again. There we go. Just happened again. So you can get more rushing wind kicks that way, even if you know you don't have your Thunder Focus Tea or whatever. So Fistweaver right now, it does a whole lot of damage. In these games, I'm just doing top damage. Almost every game right here. I'm near top damage. I'm doing more damage than a DPS. So Fistweaver is super strong right now in this meta. And yeah, that's going to be it for the Fistweaver and Mistweaver guide. So I hope you all enjoyed the guide. Any questions, they are more than welcome to be asked in the comments. I'll be responding to every comment if you have a question or something that needs answering. My armory will be in the description. All the talent loadouts will be in the description. Links to my Discord so that you can get all of my add-ons. And my UI loadouts, everything, so you can get your game to look like mine. It's also going to be in the description, as well as the PvP talents that I'm playing for each spec. And I've already said, but the talent loadouts themselves. So I hope you guys enjoyed this guide. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon. I'm going to be posting gameplay videos for Caster Mistweaver and Fistweaver, so you can see kind of how these builds are applied in an arena setting, and sort of like some combos that I do. Anyways, thanks for watching. Catch me live on Twitch, Twitch TV, MeatMonkMW, All of my socials are going to be linked in the description, so go in the description, get your talents, get everything, and thank you guys for watching. Peace.